Alright YouTube, back in the shop again. So today we've got to match drill these holes, but before we do that we got to get this elevator trim piece, which is this guy right here. We got to measure and cut that. That is what it is, a triangle. I don't know if you guys can see that. A wedge. So we have to get that out. And then also, I'll go ahead and get ready. So this is the tool. We got to countersink it because our skins need to be countersunk. So this is a tool that we got from Cleveland Aircraft Supply. Any home-built tool provider will provide has this, I believe, so you can get it from there, but I got this one from Cleveland. And what this does is it lays that wedge in there so it's flat, and then we got to countersink these. And then these wedges, when we dimple the skins here, that will allow that to lay flat as we do that. Ordered the Pro Seal today. We're nowhere near that yet, so no worries. But so we've got that to do, and then, like I said, I'll get that clecoed and get these match drilled per the instructions. We got to find these guys. I'm sure they were back ordered, but I believe I got them in a box. And then one of the things that we're going to do as well is Vans ships these WD-4 415s. These are just basically a nut which is welded on a piece. I opted to go with a machined version. I'll put that link in the video. That is these pieces here. These are actually machined out of billet aluminum instead of just a nut welded to a little aluminum plate. So we'll get those done. And then we've got the nut plates that we got to put. This is an inspection. So basically what it is your elevator trim controls and your elevator, I believe, trim controls. Yeah, your elevator trim controls go through here. And what that does, trim cables go through here, and it screws in, and then the cable goes out. And that's what adjusts your trim on your elevator. And then this is because this is a part that wears out or can wear out, it has to be part of an inspection plate, which has to be removed and inspected. And plus, you know, it's a mechanical device, so you want to be able to get to it. So that is what is on order for today, is to get this done, get the trailing edges mocked up, and to find these horns to make sure they did, and then to get this laid out properly on this plate, and then do the nuts. So we got a lot to do today. Things are going to slow down versus what we've done in the past, and the reason being is there's just a lot of minutia work that needs to be done, and it needs to be precise, right? It needs to be safe. So enough of that. You guys know the routine by now. This plane's not going to build itself, so I've got to get to work. All right, YouTube, there you go. So we got these two pieces. I used my favorite marking back there called Dykem. Drew a line, did the measurements. More importantly, I drew a center line, if you look, and then I put a center line on the part itself, and then I matched that center line up. One thing I realized, these sides are not square, they kind of angle out, so you cannot do your back line according to the side. That was one of the issues. They weren't square. So I actually had to measure, and I used the calipers to measure that my depth was correct from here to here. It was a little awkward, but I got it done, and it is good to go. It is good to go. So this is done. They've been drilled with the number 30s and ready to go. So now I am on to doing the nut plates. So I got to pull those out and look for these, and then get those nut plates done. So I'm going to clean these up. I got to take the blue off the backside, get them deburred, and we'll go from there. So YouTube, I want to show you something. I don't want you to make a mistake and everything. So we've got to put these nut plates on. These nut plates are the K11s. These are the K1000s. These will work with these, but that's not the right nut plate. These are the right nut plates. They're in the bag. So make sure you don't get comfortable. Right, they're inside here. You can see them. I have to pull them out. So there's different sizes in this bag. But you got to make sure that you're using the right nut plates. The directions actually have the nice pretty pictures. They put pretty pictures on here. Make sure you have the right nut plates. Don't use the K1000s. You need the 1100s, the K1100 6s. So make sure you grab the right nut plates. And I just pulled this out, double checked and everything. And like I said, you got to double check. Now what I'm probably going to do, there's a whole section of 5R and how you can dimple these, but you got to dimple them because these actually, when you rivet, are flush rivets that go in here. I am going to see if I can actually mount, put the screw through, mount them, and then dimple both the skin and the nut plate at the same time. So we'll see how that works, and I'll let you guys know here in a minute. All right, YouTube. So we got everything dimpled. A couple things to look out for here. Number one, when you are dimpling, you're going to have to go to a bigger size because you want it to be dimpled for this little screw here, right? So you have to make sure that your dimple, or that your set that you use, is going to be enough to put the, that you're using the right set. And let me kind of show you here. So you want that screw, right, to be flush or to go in there. Now I've got the blue on, so that's going to do it. So you have to go to your sets and make sure. Now this set here is right for the hole here, but it's wrong in the depth. It was not setting enough depth. I don't know if you can see that, so I had to go to a different dimple. These are too big. This one here was too shallow. So the dimpling set the set that I went to was this guy here, which puts the right one. So you have to make sure, and the way that you know you're right is when you put your screw in, it should, just like your rivet, should set flush. So that's lookout number one. Lookout number two, you're changing these sets out. So it's very important that you get the male and the female set correctly. So double check that. Just take it out, make sure that they align, right? And they're not sloppy. These are perfectly machined, and they should not be sloppy in there. They should be perfectly aligned. So that's the second thing. If you're using a pneumatic squeezer like I am, make sure you have your shims in. Check your shims. I started with two, one on top, one on the bottom. I ended up with just one on top to make the gap. Don't be surprised if you get deformity. See how that's deformed? That's just the nature of squeezing these. They're gonna deform and everything. Your metal, see how look how bad that is. These things were perfectly flat when I started, but when you squeeze them, you're putting it under a lot of pressure, and of course it's gonna deform, but don't freak out. No big deal. That's just part of it. You'll straighten it back out and everything. So now the instructions, I got all this done, got these dimpled. I used my pneumatic squeezer to dimple the nut plates. You can do it the way you want to. I don't really prefer having my fingers that close to that. Just be careful. Turn off the music, cut the distractions. You're on final. These are your fingers, so treat it like you're on final. Make it sterile in your shop, because the last thing you want to do is get distracted and get your fingers caught up inside that squeezer. The other thing is make sure, if you disable the safety where you have to push forward and then down, enable that. It will just slow you down. and you want to be slowed down in this process, because you do not want your fingers up in that jaw. That thing will it will just destroy your finger. So do not, like I said, just be safe. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then put it on the C. You can do it on the C. You can also countersink these if you wanted to with your countersinker. I don't like because there's not enough round material. So what I find that if there's not enough round material for my cage to rest on, my countersinker gets kind of wonky, and that hole doesn't do it. But these things, yeah, they lined up perfect. I was shocked. Not shocked. I mean, it's amazing. You should never be shocked when you're building a Vans airplane. Everything just works the way it should. See how that just goes? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, all right. So now what I have to do is all that work I did yesterday and putting it together, I got to take it apart. I got to mark all my pieces and everything. And then, yeah, we'll be ready to get everything primed, deburred, and then primed. And so that's about it. I'll just leave you with that. And like always, I appreciate you spending your time with me in the shop. Leave your comments about the airplane or anything like that. I'll be glad to answer. Make sure you tell your friends, family, all of that. Other RV builders, about us. I would appreciate it. It is a community. And like always, be safe, be careful, do the right thing, and may God bless you. Hi, YouTube. So I made an executive decision. What I'm going to do is, instead of taking everything apart, I'm going to take one apart, finish the right side. This is the left side. I'm going to leave this one together as I build up that side. I know it's going to add a little bit more time to the project, but there's a thought process here. Number one, there's a lot of parts that will get mixed up, right? That possibly could get mixed up. Like this is, I cut these, if you remember, these are actually match drilled to this particular one. So you mix this up, your match drilling can be messed up. This is the outbound, this is the inward. This really doesn't matter. Then all my ribs are all numbered and everything. And then, so this is my thought process. This will allow me to look at a good reference here on this guy if I have any questions, because a good example of that is, if you guys remember, I got these already dimpled or already fluted. Some of them were already dimpled. Well, anywhere where there's a skin, we've got to, where the skin is, we've got to countersink these. Now this here, I got to look at the plans. I don't know these outwards. These are just, I think, bolts on. Well, I know they're screwed on. So these outward, there's a fairing that goes on here. But by keeping these together, I can reference and see what is actually attached to the skin and what is not. I can take my notes and all that. I know you guys will just take your notes when you do it. Yeah, but it's good to have a visual, right? Because now I can see where the skin is. And like I was saying earlier, if you look, some of these were dimpled and some of them were not. Right? And so I've got to look and see where the pieces come together, right? Where the skin is going to attach. And I got to make sure that that is dimpled. And the best way of doing that is by looking at this one. See, I can see the skin is attached on these last three and everything. It just, to me, it just makes, I don't want to say easier, but it just, in my head, it's nice to have a good visual representation of what you're going to do. One that's mocked up so I can go back to it. There's a lot going on with these elevators. There is a lot. And I am pretty sure Vans designed, I know for a fact that Vans designed these kits as you move, your progression. And so it's a good idea. Like I said, it's not a race. I just spoke with Vans today. I'm 10 months out from getting my wings. They're going to try to speed that up because I placed my wing order. When I placed the kit, I just switched from a quick build to a slow build. So, but they're, you know, it is what it is. I mean, they told us not 10 weeks, 10 months. 10 months out right now for the wing. So there's no rush here. So I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to keep this one up. I'm going to build this one, get it primed, get it done, build it, learn from it, and then use this as my standard or as my reference. And then when I get done with this one, hopefully I won't have any mistakes, but if I did it all and everything, I'll learn from this one and then I'll apply it to this guy. Just, you know, my thought process is you can do it the way you want to. It's your plane. Do it the way you want to. Who cares? But I'm telling you what I'm going to do. So don't be surprised if you see this one sitting here mocked up and this one here being built and everything. Yeah, I know it adds more time to the painting and all of that, but it is what it is. And I felt that this is complex enough that I don't want to screw it up. And because of that, I'm going to just do one at a time. All right. And I promise that's the end of the videos for tonight.